Well, good afternoon, Democrats.
Hi.
I think we can do better than that as Democrats. Who's excited to put another Democrat in the White House?
Yeah.
All right. Who's excited to win back the 3rd Congressional District? That's right, that's right. Well, we've got a lot of work to do. We've got to make sure that Democrats win up and down the ballot. We need to make sure that Mike Ronstall stays the majority leader in the Iowa Senate. We've got to take back the Iowa House. And so there should be a lot of excitement, and this is the year to do it. I'm Jim Mowrer. I'm running for Congress here in the 3rd Congressional District because my entire career has been about service to Iowa and service to my country. I grew up on a family farm in central Iowa, but when I was 7 years old, my father was killed in a farming accident. And we lost the farm and moved into town where my mother worked for a modest income to take care of my sister and I. But the only thing that really kept my family from falling so far down that we couldn't get back up was the basic social safety net, and in particular, Social Security survivor benefits. And that's what formed my ideology and my worldview and outlook from a very young age. And frankly, it's why I'm a Democrat, because I believe, as I'm sure everyone in this room believes, that we're all better off than when one of us falls down, we help one another get back up. So after high school, I married my high school sweetheart, Chelsea. We have 2 wonderful sons together. After the September 11th attacks, I joined the Iowa Army National Guard. I went to college on the GI Bill, got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in public policy, and eventually deployed to Iraq with the Iowa Army National Guard. It was the longest deployed unit of the Iraq War. It was 23 months start to finish. And as you might imagine, that was a very trying experience. But it's also what gives me such great confidence about the future of our country. Because I served side by side with other young Iowans and other young Americans who were willing to sacrifice everything for the future of this country. And some of them did. But it's why I'm so determined to ensure that our best days are ahead of us, not behind us. When the greatest generation came home from war, they invested in the future of our country. They invested in our roads and our bridges and our schools. They put a man on the moon. They believed in the big things. They believed in collective action because they had all been part of something bigger than themselves. They'd all sacrificed and invested in our country. And today we have a stark ideological divide that exists. Of one side who wants to continue to move forward, and the other side who believes that we have to stop investing, that the only path forward is to go backwards. And I believe that's wrong, and I think that that's been proven wrong time and time again. So when I got back from Iraq, I went to work on veterans issues and veterans policies. I became Joe Biden's veterans director. I did some work helping get the post-9/11 GI Bill passed. And I returned to Iraq for a period of time and served as advisor to General Ray Odinero, who was a commander of U.S. forces in Iraq at the time. And then I had the opportunity to spend 3.5 years in the Pentagon in a position that I was appointed to by President Obama. And I had a couple different roles there. I was the Army's lead representative to the Council of Governors. So I worked with the 54 state and territory governors on Army National Guard issues. And I also was tasked with overseeing the Army Office of Business Transformation. And what the Army Office of Business Transformation was tasked with doing by Congress was to relook the Army's business operations after a decade of war and try to make them more efficient. So I worked with the defense industry, I worked with the House and Senate Armed Services Committee, I worked with the politics inside the Pentagon, which are about as bad as politics outside the Pentagon. And without cutting any services, we saved $3.5 billion of taxpayer money through the reforms that we put into place. And that's why I believe in good government. That's why I believe in good public policy. You know, I think a lot of people think these are cliches at this point, and that's what Republicans want them to believe. You know, they don't want good government, they want no government. But that's my experience. I've gone line by line of the federal budget. I've gone line by line of the law. I've worked with lawmakers to fix things and make them better at the federal level. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because when I was at the Pentagon, I had a front row seat to see how broken that this Congress is. That we can't even do the basics right. We can barely keep the doors open in the federal government. That's why we've seen government shutdowns. And it's because of that stark ideological divide. And our current representative, accidental representative, David Young, has proven in the first 1.5 years in office why he does not deserve another term. You know, he frankly lied to the voters in 2014. He said he was going to be a moderate, he'd be pragmatic. He'd spent his career in Washington, the last 30 years in Washington, working as a staffer. in Congress, and he would be a moderate, and he knew how to govern. He even said he wouldn't vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act because he understood that that wasn't the right approach. Well, right after he was elected, one of his first votes in Congress was to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He's now voted 7 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He's voted 6 times to defund Planned Parenthood. He's voted twice against equal pay, the Equal Pay Act, equal pay for equal work for women. That's the extreme ideology that we're facing. He was even one of only 64 members of Congress to vote against the bipartisan highway bill. The highway bill. Basic investment in roads and bridges. He was the only member of the Iowa delegation to vote against the highway bill. Even Steve King voted for the highway bill. So that's the extreme Tea Party ideology that we're seeing on the other side, and it needs to change. Our campaign is putting together the broad coalition, the type of grassroots campaign that can win. Since getting into the race, we've had over 4,000 individual donors. Over 4,000 individual donors. In the 1st District, we outraised David Young as well. And if you look at his Federal Election Commission report, you can see who he's really working for. It is a laundry list of corporate political action committees. It's Bank of America, it's Walmart, it's ExxonMobil. That's who we're facing here. But I'm proud to be running a grassroots campaign funded by real people. I'm proud to have been endorsed by over 10 labor unions and Iowa AFL-CIO. We actually have a huge effort today. We've got a ton of people out knocking on doors, making phone calls. And so please, please join my campaign to help win back the 3rd District. You can go to my website, jimforiowa.com. Make sure that you vote every single day between now and June 7th. You can. If you want to try to vote every single day between now and June 7th, it may not work out so well. But you sure can. Go vote today. You can wait till June 7th. But I ask for your help. I ask for your support. Together, this is a fight we're going to win, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'm proud to be with you.